So fundamentally, there's a stigma attached to somebody who is in their 30s and is in this predicament of being still a virgin and not having had any relationships or even a date. However, that's what happens when you don't really fit into the mold of society. You don't fit into the cultural expectations. And I must admit that that's what happened to me. I came to live in a foreign country when I was 10, only with my parents and my twin brother. My parents never really fitted into the culture. They never had a job, never had friends. So they kind of isolated me in a way with them, living their own way of life, their own, Italian way, eating Italian food, drinking Italian drinks, talking in Italian. It was never about them fitting into the culture here or even embracing it. It was more about just living here but in a parallel cultural spectrum. And I think that really had an impact on me. And obviously, when I went to school, I felt like I was Italian amongst other, mostly British children. And I had a feeling that I didn't really belong in there. I felt isolated. So I was pretty much going through the school years from the age of 10, mostly having to fend off bullies and not really building any friendships. I pretty much left school without any friends. I didn't really know what kind of future was in store for me because I wasn't happy here. And from then on, I just struggled to fit in socially, to find a purpose in life. And in fact, between the ages of 20 to 25, 26, I was pretty much living indoors. I wasn't even going out anymore. I spent 5 or 6 years not doing anything. I only got my first work experience when I was 26, and it wasn't a particularly pleasant one because I was in an Amazon warehouse where you pretty much just assessed on individual metrics. The job was very lonely. You basically were put in on a desk or well near a work desk, or you were given an electric, a digital handset, to use to scan items, and there wasn't really any incentive or impetus of having to engage with someone unless it was just for a casual conversation as you was going about your work. But that didn't help me because obviously, you don't really get to know anybody. You just finish your shift and then you go home, because it was a long day doing the same repetitive tasks. People, probably got sick of other, of having anything to do with anything regarding Amazon. And so I was there, but after 6 months, I realized how negative the environment was because people were always either constantly quitting or being sacked, and it made me feel really negative about the whole environment. I was feeling like this is not a job to be proud of because people just disappear from this place. And it was the same other jobs. I worked in retail, cleaning. It was pretty much all service, low level service sector economy jobs because I didn't have any other outlet because obviously I live in Wales, which is one of the poorest regions in the UK, and the job prospects here are not very bright. There's mostly low paying, low level, and unskilled work. So I had to basically adapt to what the environment offered me. At the same time, I had no support to improve myself because my parents, my father, he's mentally disabled. He's got like schizophrenia. My mother, she's just a cook and a cleaner. She's not really taken interest in my life or what I did. She just put the food on the table every day, and that's it, really. So I didn't really have any encouragement, inspiration. And at the same time, I wasn't inspired by the people around me because, as I said, at school, I was pretty much always bullied. And when I went to workplaces, it seemed mostly the culture of the work itself was monotonous, tedious, and it was repetitive. So, and you won't really feel like you were really part of a team. You'll just feel like you turned up, did your work, and you went home and repeated another day until you got fed up or you got fired or found another job. So it's a disappointing one for me now. I almost think society treats us like robots now because it doesn't take into consideration our needs. It's just, and if it does, it's because there's a money incentive associated to taking care of those needs. It's I pretty much have become very cynical about society in general, the working society. I understand there might be some good people who do it, not might do something good for somebody, not out of financial potential financial benefits, but that's very few and far. But at the same time, I don't blame individuals because we do live in a society where, service sector society where you're pretty much encouraged to serve others, and if you get paid to do so. So there's always that money incentive. And if you don't have that, there's no point. So fundamentally, that's what happened to me. I pretty much felt like I didn't fit into culture. I didn't fit in around people. I didn't have any meaningful friends. So I pretty much just isolated myself, and I found myself now in a position where I really can't trust anybody. I don't have anybody positive in my life, and I'm just alone all the time. And the only thing that distracts me from that isolation is pretty much coming online or finding some kind of online activity, whether it's reading news articles or watching more YouTube videos or some documentaries. That's pretty much all that I do every day, because I don't have anybody that I can really share a productive, engaging conversation. Prior to Omega going bust, I used to go on there to fulfill these kind of needs, which wasn't ideal, because you were building fleeting relationships with people from all over the world. And ultimately, fundamentally, I do believe that the best, most reliable friendships are those where you can actually meet somebody, I know, rather than somebody who's far away from you, whose connection is dependent on an internet connection. It's just not this. It doesn't have the same close connection. But I pretty much accepted my fate here now. I'm in my mid-30s now, and I have to understand that this is how I built myself now in life, to be a loner, and to not have any close relationships. Right now, still live with my parents, because obviously I'm not in a really strong financial position. I've struggled to hold down employment, so until it doesn't change, I will probably remain like this. But yeah, let me know how you guys have dealt with isolation, and what impact has it had. Has it had the same impact as I have, or are you worried that it might have? Let me know. Thank you.